Good evening, and welcome to the final regular season edition of the CCM Fans Report. I'm Arthur Fishel.
And I'm Martha Fishel. What a way to end the season, Arthur. A 4-0 defeat in the F3 derby isn't exactly the grand finale we were hoping for.
Indeed. Tonight, we analyse the fallout from that harrowing afternoon in Newcastle, and we're joined by Gary from marketing to discuss the fragrant rumours surrounding Sydney Olympic and our own ownership split.
And of course, it's our final Mooned report. With Warren Moon departing, it really is the end of an era for our weekly audit. We'll be marking the departure of the man himself and looking at the rumours of a homecoming for a certain club legend. Let us begin with the match itself.
We turn our attention now to the final round of the regular season, the F3 derby. A sellout crowd at Newcastle's home ground gathered to witness what was, on paper, a coronation for the Newcastle Jets.
Coronation is one way of putting it, Arthur. I call it a hostage situation. Did you see the Jets fans in Bay 10? They were practically sitting on our streamers before we could even throw them.
It was a sombre and respectful Anzac Day ceremony to begin with, as one would expect. There is something quite moving about a sellout crowd in Newcastle falling into total silence.
It was lovely, Arthur, for about 60 seconds. Then the whistle blew, and it went from "lest we forget" to "I'll never forget what you just did" to our striker in the blink of an eye.
Indeed, it was a rapid transition from reverence to rivalry.
You're telling me there was even a fair bit of debate on the forum about whether we should give them a guard of honour for their premiership. I think the community settled that one pretty quickly. The general consensus was that you don't hand out bouquets to your neighbours when they've spent the last decade trying to burn your house down. I'm glad our boys didn't do it. You don't pay homage to the scum on their own patch.
Quite. Although I must say, the matchday hospitality in Newcastle left something to be desired. Those ice creams you purchased, Martha, appeared to be manufactured from a high-density industrial polymer. They refused to melt, even in the afternoon sun.
I know. I thought I was doing us a favour because there wasn't a queue for once. It was like eating a rubber bouncy ball. We both regretted it before we'd even finished the first bite. And don't get me started on your beer, dear.
It was a tragedy, Martha. $10 for a plastic cup of what I suspect was lukewarm cleaning fluid, only for me to tip the entire contents onto the concrete in the 10th minute. I wasn't even that bothered about drinking it, to be honest. It wasn't even a lager.
What is it with you and lager? You've been on about it for months.
It's the principle, Martha. The selections were appalling. Hahn, 4X, and then Stone and Wood. I was under the impression that Stone and Wood was reserved exclusively for individuals who still consume iced tea out of mason jars and possess a fondness for man buns and ponytails.
Well, you weren't the only one who lost your head in the 10th minute. While you were busy baptizing the concrete with your cleaning fluid, the Nutter incident happened.
I believe his name is Mark Natter, Martha.
Nutter, that's what I said.
Natter.
Well, what's the Nutter then? He absolutely clobbered Nathaniel Blair in the box. Even Daniel McBreen on the commentary said it was the most obvious penalty he had ever seen.
It was a peculiar decision by the referee. The justification provided was that Blair had stepped in front of the defender. Apparently, in the modern game, taking the most direct route to the goal is now a punishable offence.
After you, sir. No, after you. It's football, not a queue at the post office. That decision killed us. The forum was convinced the officials were told not to spoil the Jets' party.
It certainly felt that way when the collapse followed. Will Dobson found the top corner in the 21st minute, and Clayton Taylor doubled the lead just 4 minutes later, 2-0 down before we had even finished complaining about the penalty.
Comedy defence was the main vibe on the thread, and then Eli Adams popped up with a header just before half-time to make it 3.
One must also comment on the ground announcer. It was a thoroughly uninspired performance. I don't believe they even managed to communicate the amount of added time to the spectators.
Talk about flat. When they scored, the announcer sounded like they were reading out a change in the bus timetable. It was just miserable all round.
Young Mr. Adams seemed quite pleased with himself, performing a celebration where he appeared to be rubbing his arms.
Maybe he was just cold, or maybe he was just rubbing it in. The Jets players were all over our fans after every goal, doing that hand-on-the-ear thing like they couldn't hear us.
To be fair, Martha, with the sellout crowd in full voice, it's highly unlikely they could discern a single word you were shouting.
Fine. Well, I said, you lot are a bunch of shit, and you can because you're all breastfed until your mid-30s, and the
Right, we shall move on. The second half was a more balanced affair, although we were forced into a change at the break with Brad Tapp succumbing to a knee injury. A blow for the young man in what has been a breakout season.
Loved seeing that kid in Bay 11 though, singing Let's Go Mariners for 10 minutes straight without stopping for air. Sounded like a chipmunk version of the Yellow Army.
He certainly had more stamina than the Jets fans, who attempted a Mexican wave while 3-0 up, a sure sign of the fair weather supporter.
Is that why we left with 10 minutes to go then?
That was a tactical withdrawal withdrawal, Martha. 3-0 down, the bar was shut, and the outcome was no longer in doubt. We only heard about the fourth goal via a notification during our walk of shame back to the vehicle, navigating a dark, litter-strewn forest in the dead of night. It makes the walk to Polytech Stadium feel like a stroll through a manicured botanical garden.
At least in Gosford, the graffiti is artistic. Newcastle is just scary.
Indeed, a disappointing end to the regular season. There is much talk on the forum that the uncertainty surrounding the club's ownership has finally filtered down to the pitch.
Mooney has done well to keep them competitive this long, but we need some good news soon.
Joining us now to discuss the prevailing mood regarding the club's future is Gary from marketing. Gary, while we've been waiting for news on our own ownership, the Sydney Morning Herald has published a rather harrowing account of a civil war over at Sydney Olympic.
It sounds like a total nightmare, Gary. That fellow who was previously linked to our club, Damon Hanlon, it seems he's at the centre of it all. Apparently, he called the allegations against him fragrant lies.
One assumes he meant flagrant, Martha, although given the scent of that particular situation, perhaps fragrant is more accurate. It certainly makes one feel that the Mariners have dodged a significant, non-ratified bullet.
Arthur, first of all, my title has transitioned. I am now the principal architect for olfactory brand discrepancies and cross-code equity synergy. And please, we don't use the word bullet. We call it a high-velocity market validation event that we successfully avoided.
A market validation event. Gary, the man is blocking votes to remove his own board. And now we have rumours of an 80-20 split between QPR and the owners of the West's Tigers. The forum is in a total panic about our identity.
Martha, the 80-20 split is the golden ratio of global equity alignment. You see, by integrating with a heritage London brand and a domestic rugby league ecosystem, the principals are creating a synthesized predatory platform. The club isn't just a club, it is a multi-code engagement hub.
Gary, one regular contributor on the forum, is worried we'll become soulless like Melbourne Heart. They're terrified of AI slop logos and being forced to wear blue and white hoops as the Central Coast Marvins.
That supporter is simply suffering from legacy friction, Arthur. In the trade, it isn't called a soulless rebrand, it is a generative aesthetic evolution. If the hoops are adopted, they aren't just stripes, they are horizontal growth indicators. And Central Coast Marvins represents a missed naming rights optimization opportunity.
But what about our DNA, Gary? Our identity as a community club?
One cannot simply pivot away from a club's historical soul, Gary. It is not a piece of software that requires an update.
Identity is a digital fluidity vector, Martha. It's a pivot from a community club to a globalized synergistic asset. And Arthur, it's about optics. It's about the aromatic potential of the brand.
I suspect your aromatic potential is merely a sophisticated term for a total lack of transparency, Gary. No doubt you'll tell us that being kept in the dark is actually a strategic information shield.
Exactly, Arthur. It's a non-disclosed clarity buffer. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a meeting to discuss the monetization of fan anxiety. It's a growth sector.
He makes so much sense when he explains it like that, Arthur.
He makes sense in the same way that Polymer ice cream in Newcastle made food, Martha. We shall move on. We come now to a significant milestone in our broadcasting history. The moon tenure has reached its final phase, and as we descend from this particular orbit, it is time now for the final mooned report.
It's been a wild ride, Arthur, from the new moon energy at the start of his tenure to this final eclipse in Newcastle. Finishing where we have is nothing short of a miracle. Everyone had us pinned for the wooden spoon back in October.
Indeed, to avoid such a culinary catastrophe by such a significant margin is a testament to the stability Mr. Moon provided. He successfully navigated the squad into much clearer waters than anyone anticipated.
He really did, Arthur. It's been a remarkable journey from those early days.
As for the final audit, the Mariners have mooned 8 teams for the regular season. This final tally is supplemented by 8 half-moons and 10 lunar eclipses. I must say, there is something profoundly satisfying about a well-executed full moon in the direction of the opposition's bench.
It's been a sight to behold, Arthur. Warren has kept his head while everyone else was losing theirs. I'm going to miss that glow from the touchline.
It is the clarity of the display that we shall miss most, Martha. We certainly wish Mr. Moon well in his future endeavours. He has represented this institution with a level of dignity that is increasingly rare in the modern game.
Hear, hear. Thanks for everything, Warren. You've earned a bit of peace and quiet. But we need to look ahead, don't we? The forum is already buzzing with the prospect of a homecoming.
Indeed. There is significant noise that the club has interviewed a certain favourite son, John Hutchinson.
Hutchie, one regular on the forum, said that Hutch is exactly what we need to get that mongrel back into the side. Someone who lived and breathed this club for so many years as a player.
It is a vivid, if somewhat canine description, Martha. But the prospect of a homecoming for a figure with such a robust competitive history history is certainly a compelling one.
He knows what it takes to win in yellow and blue, Arthur. It's that extra bit of grit that everyone is excited about for next season, building on the foundation that Warren has worked so hard to maintain.
Quite a tasteful transition from the Moon era to a potential Hutchinson restoration. We shall have to wait and see if the principals agree. As we transition into the off-season, we must remind our regular viewers that while the matches have concluded, the administrative theatre is only just beginning.
You're not wrong there, Arthur. I'm already prepared for a winter of phantom investor updates. I suspect I'll be waking up at 3 in the morning to check the forum every time a London-based lawyer sends an email.
It is the cross we bear as supporters of this particular institution, Martha. We shall be taking a brief hiatus ourselves, but we will return later in the off-season for a comprehensive season review, hopefully featuring a more definitive lineup of guests and perhaps even a new owner to analyze.
I can't wait. But before we go, I just want to say thank you to the people who have followed us this year. For those who commented and shared their thoughts, we really appreciate you sticking with us through a long season.
Indeed, we appreciate the stamina of our regular audience who have remained with us even in the face of ownership uncertainty and questionable officiating. It has been an interesting journey.
That's it for now. We'll see you soon for the review.
Until next time, this has been the CCM Fans Report.